Hey everyone, welcome back to Humans and AI, the podcast exploring the crucial connection between people and technology. I'm your host, Adim Zolkario, product design and AI expert, and the creator of an online leadership program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI. And today, we're diving deep into the human side of product management, a field that's undergoing a rapid transformation with AI age. Joining us is a successful director of product from Monday.com, a leading unicorn startup. We'll be discussing the importance of the soft skills and human empathy in building great products, along with valuable insights and advice from seasoned leader and in the tech world. And I want to welcome Shirley. Hi, Shirley.
Hi, how are
I'm
you?
so happy that you're here. Shirley Baumer is the ex-director of product management at Monday.com, and I'm very happy that she's with me today. Hi, Shirley.
Hey, it's great to be here.
Yeah, we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook, and you're so invited to join the discussion and ask questions. And now we can start. What are some of the most crucial soft skills that every product manager needs to develop, and why?
That's a good question. Um, so first of all, I think that soft skills are like really a part of the job in product management. It's not like a nice to have if you're a designer and you're also a storyteller, developer, but you know how to communicate. That's a plus, right? It will make you great at what you do. But for product manager, you can't lead a team. You can't work with stakeholders without it. Um, so I think like for me, number one, like the basis for all is empathy, right? Because you need to understand our users and really dive deep into their world. What are they experiencing? What are their problems? Their aspiration, their their dreams, their motivations. And you can't do that without really putting yourself in their shoes. um, and you can also and that also implies to relationship in the office. So how to work with stakeholders. You want to make sure the CEO has a buy-in for your new feature. You have to understand what they care about, right? They care about revenue, they care about engagement, they care about culture. I don't know. Understand their motivation and then understand how to talk to them. And I think that that's really what separates, a good product manager from great product management, because there is something in product management that you can't, like, there is this extra X factor, right, that you can't really teach.
Yeah,
um yeah, and I think
yeah.
that's that. There is a
But you know
story I
what?
really like.
Sure.
um, there is a story I really like from like a very distant place, from Cambodia. I've been to Cambodia. It's a beautiful place. And they have an issue with iron deficiency, like with anemia. And there was a group of scientists from Canada that created this iron metal that you can put when you cook. You can just add it to the pot, and then whatever you cook gets more iron, and people get be more healthy and stuff like that. And it was a very exciting revolution, like innovation, like this amazing new thing. It's not expensive, it's very durable. And then a group of scientists came to like the rural area of Cambodia and knocked on people's door and offered it. And the locals said, yeah, yeah, of course. And a few months later, they saw that nothing changed. They didn't use it, and of course, they didn't feel any better. And one of the evenings, so one of the scientists walked, in the village and met an old Cambodian person, and he told him about a lucky fish, or something in their culture which considers very fortune. And then he had this idea, like a light bulb, of taking this metal, which used to be round, and make it turn it into a fish, like exactly the same thing, exactly the same material and everything. But now it's not a circle; it's a fish. And when they tried it now, everybody used it. It was a huge success. Iron level went up. People felt better. It had an effect on the economy because people felt better. And I think it's such an amazing story because it tells you, to listen and not be judgmental, and understand also the context, like not only like deep diving into the specific problem you're trying to solve, but look on your user as a person, like a round person. What do they care about? What do they believe in? Where are their biases? Um,
The coin, like
yeah,
a
I
fish
have the
coin.
actual metal thing in my drawer.
Wow. You
Yeah,
should show me
to
afterwards.
yeah,
I would
to
love to see that.
remind myself that that's where we are here for. So
Yeah.
for me,
You know,
I'm really
like
passionate about that.
most people in tech are very passionate about technology.
Yeah,
And I would say the percentage of people that are oriented to technology, to the coding, to the hardcore, you know, abilities, capacities of technology
yeah,
is the majority. I would say like more than 90%. And 80, 90% of people doing technology startups, big companies, they come from technology and they really value it, and they promote people who really understand technology.
yeah,
And it's a very, because it's the core business, they see that as the most important thing. And then they would say, okay, somebody is doing product management. Yeah, it's nice that he understands the people, he could talk to the end users. But first and foremost, he needs to understand the technology and what we're doing in order to work with R&D, in order to understand the limitations, so forth. I
yeah,
guess you heard that in the past.
yeah.
So how would you address this?
Um, I think it's important to. I think technology is cool. I think it's important to understand technology. Like you can't, I don't know, sell wine without understanding how they make wine, right? But I think that you need to understand it and challenge some choices. But I don't believe it's like the superpower of product management. I believe that the R&D team need to lead the technology, and they need to lead how we are solving the problems, and product management managers need to bring which problem are we trying to solve, how we measure success, and the synergy is important, and working together is important. You can't be complete ignorant and say like, okay, solve it somehow, but that's not what you bring to the table, as far as I concern.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, like there are many people. I'm in the tech field for, I don't know, like more than 20 years.
Mm,
So I remember before they were product managers, right?
yeah,
So it's like 10, 15 years, 10,
yeah,
15 years old, something like that. And before that, we came into startups or big organizations, and the people who led the product was the R&D team, right?
hmm,
They were the ones who decided the strategy and the path and everything, and they really implemented that too. And I think that some of these like conceptions of what is needed from product management is still there due to the fact that it's a technological organization and it started from there.
yeah.
And what you're saying is that people who has these skills and they could teach themselves about the technology, but they don't need to understand it deeply, could be even better product managers than people who don't have these skills.
I
Uh,
think because I would never understand technology better than the engineers, right?
right?
And I want to give them to do their own thing, and I want to bring my own value, and
Yeah.
that's as a product. So that's the value. That's the value I bring, and I believe that working together in a way that each one represent what they bring to the table. And I really like working with R&D from very, very early stages. Like I know when I understand like the field of competitors and the problem and general idea of our goals, I want to bring R&D to the table, and I want to discuss it with them, and I want to think about the solutions together. I don't work with like I don't work with it. So
Yeah.
and in that way I think they are much more like on board, engaged. um in Monday, they are the most engaged engineers I ever seen, because we don't put them in a tiny, corner.
Yeah.
They get to do it their thing. They get to do their art. They get to influence.
Yeah. Do you think it's different because Monday is a B2C company actually, although it works to a B2B, but it's in the end it's a consumer's product. Um, do you think it's different if I'm a product manager is in a deep technology or someone who's developing it for developers or experts in their fields?
Yeah, I think like the level of depth and how you understand the underlying technology might be greater, but still I don't expect from a product, even from a technical product management manager who work on a technical product, to bring that to the table. I still want them to be, what are we aiming for, how success looks like, which problem are we solving for which users, um, how are we winning, what is the MVP. There
Right.
is so much in product management that like you don't need to do that also.
Yeah. So, looking back at Monday.com growth to unicorn, what are some of the key lessons you've learned about building a successful product and a company?
um, it's a lot. Like it's, being a unicorn, it's like one of a million, so a lot of things have need to like happen together, I guess.
Yeah. And you've been there from the beginning. We have to mention that too.
Yeah, pretty much. I was the first product manager. I joined when we were 30 employees. The product was very basic. And yeah, so I've been there for lots of changes, and um, I think that it sounds kind of funny, but you need to think big, and you need to say to yourself, I we are going to be a unicorn. Okay, because building a lifestyle business or building a business that all you want to do is just have an exit is very different from day one. So aim there is a part of it, and that means a lot of things. It's not only a mental thing, right? It's not only imagine, although that's meaningful also, but choosing a big market, for example. Okay, I think it's very, very hard. I wouldn't say impossible, but I think it's very hard to be a unicorn if you go to a niche market, or if you're building a niche product for a big market. So I think the combination of a big market with core offering is something that really, I think it's like the basic of being a unicorn. So in Monday's case, the market is every team that works together on a computer. It's a lot of people. It's 1.2 billion people around the world. And Monday works across, 200 industries, 180 countries, tech, non-tech, enterprise, SMBs, everything. And what and the offering is something in the core of the business. It's not a nice to have. It's not a nuanced thing. So I think that is very, very important. Um, it's not enough, right? But it's like uh, the basics. And, and also, like, you need to aim high and set very, very ambitious goals, but you also need to make sure you reach them. So I think that everything around like measurements and being very, very on top of like reality check, how are you progressing towards your goal, is very meaningful. So in Monday, when it started with five companies who used Monday as customers, and they were all friends of the founders. Okay, we didn't have like the online marketing and stuff like that. So there was a huge dashboard on all of the walls in the office with five. There are five, and every day in the morning, the CEO in like in the all hands said, today we have five customers, and the next day we have five customers, and then we had six. It was very, very exciting. So I think that that's very important to measure everything, to put very concrete goals, to be on top of that, to create cadences around that. It's not enough to set goals, it's not enough to measure, it's how you communicate, it's the language you speak. So um, I think it was a meaningful part of Monday's success, and it was there from day one.
Hmm.
There were dashboards on, and still on, covering all the walls with what's the revenue, how many people, how many, conversion rates, predictions, goals. Are we meeting our goals? Aren't we meeting our goals? And everybody could see it, even people who just came to visit, or even people who came for a job interview. Like, we didn't hide
Yeah.
anything. Um, so I think that's something which is very, very meaningful, and it's also a huge part of the culture, which maybe leads me to the third part of, like, the work culture of, bring the best people, give them all the context they need about strategy, goals, the market, data, everything, like, but give them freedom to reach there. So, at some point we saw that Netflix called it loosely coupled and highly aligned. Okay, and they have a whole thing around it, very interesting. And we felt that, wow, they're working like us. Um, so it's, um, bring great people, and set very ambitious goals, and give all the support you need with tools, with transparency, with everything. But don't be obsessed about how people get where it's not about the how, it's about where. And that means that people can choose to do features you don't believe in as leaders, and it's okay if they show why they're doing it, if they work fast, if they fail fast, if they, come to conclusions about and pivot. It's okay. You don't need to approve everything as leaders. And that's not so trivial, right?
Hmm. Sure.
So, yeah, everything around that. Um, like, from one, like, very, very high standards, but also give people, the freedom to work. And as soon as you get to the goals that we both agreed on, it's okay if you want to do it in the way I thought. There are 10,000 ways to get to a certain point.
Right.
Um, yeah,
Yeah.
there are a lot
I
of
think
things,
that
but I think these are like
this the main thing.
yeah,
I think what you mentioned about the freedom is a way to get good people. Because if you want to have a very good team and people who want to be like interested and really into what you're doing, you need to give them the opportunity to be influencing the product and to do things that they believe in, and not being strict about it. I believe that once you're very strict, you will get people who are more obedient and less enthusiastic about doing things.
yeah. And also the other way around, because if you don't bring like the A players, so you don't trust them as much, and and then you have to limit them and make all of these processes or approval chains and stuff like that in order to minimize risks and minimize mistakes.
Yeah,
And that's not a good way to work, because, like, no matter how talented you are as a leader, you can't be in the details. You can't.
yeah,
um,
yeah. I understand what you're saying. So, how has the rise of AI and automations changed the role of product managers as you see it?
I think that we're just starting to see it. um, just a second, I need the charger for my computer.
Sure, very important.
And yeah, battery is important, so just 1 second. I think that we start to see it like in the fringes, in the edges, right? So, in the past, when I, as a product manager, if I wanted to meet users, interview them, talk with them, it was a lot of hustle. Scheduling it, summarizing it, sharing it with everybody, writing the email took a lot of time. And today, most of it can be automated completely, right? Like sending the email, scheduling appointment, summarizing, all of that. And that's a lot of time. Competitor analysis, market analysis. Um, Today, you can ask what is work management, what is product management, who are the main, competitors, or and and you have answers. So it doesn't replace it, but it gives you a very good starting point. But still, I don't think we see, from my perspective, like maybe other people would say other thing, but from my perspective, I don't think that today's it's already, revolutionized. I think there is still lots of room for change. And I believe that when this technology would be more, advanced, and when this technology would be more implemented in day to day, it will actually help product managers to be more, like, foster their humanity. Like robots will help you to be more human and work on your human skills. Because, for example, okay, when I started to be a product manager, I had to learn SQL, like the coding language to, work with analyze data. And it took a lot of time, like, to learn SQL, and it took a lot of time to query the data, a lot, like hours and hours, sometimes hours a day. And I didn't do it as well as an analyst because I was, prone to mistakes and stuff like that. And it's very technical work. I believe that in the future you can ask in a, natural language questions. How many users? What is the frequency? What is the correlation? Stuff like that, and get like very good answers and accurate answers. So that's hours and hours and hours of work that you can now invest in other stuff. But AI would never be able. I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think AI can uh, help you to know which questions to ask, what to ask the data, right? And
Yeah.
that's often, the issue. Also today, like, people, get data, a lot of data. I want to know stuff, but what do you want to know?
Yeah.
um so yeah, so that's one aspect. And like I said, market analysis today, it's quite limited still because the data is not updated. And as a product manager and as a product leader, I spend so much time in, trying the features of our competitors, reading investor notes, reading interviews to the media, reports, Gartner, stuff like that. And I think AI can do that. It's a lot of time that's being saved.
Yeah.
And but from the other hand, meeting people, meeting your users, talking with them, understanding them better, be curious about their lives, about their problems, about their aspiration, is things that no one can replace, right?
Yeah.
A
Yeah.
machine cannot understand, like, the subtext, the cultural context, facial expressions in a way that, you know and I often see in product teams that people don't have time for that. They don't have time for
Yeah.
that. It's so much
Yeah. Of
easier
course.
to look on the data, right?
Yeah.
But and data is important, but it doesn't tell the whole story,
Right. Right.
right?
What you mentioned is that the work of a product manager could be much easier or faster instead of doing things manually. On the other hand, many companies take their product into a more AI powered technology, saying like we have this product, but we're going to add features or capabilities with AI,
Mhm.
for example. Do you see that as something that is changing the way that we do product management because we need more data, because it's less supervised, and what if it's an assistant, for example, you get an answer that you cannot always predict, so forth. Do you need that? Do you think that they need different capacities in some cases?
You mean product managers?
Yeah, for an AI product.
Mm, okay, I understand the question now. Yeah, definitely. Like, it's a whole new area. Like, it's a whole new thing in your toolkit that you have to master. Like, as a product manager, you know how to work with data, A/B tests, competitor analysis, user interviews, and so on and so on. You have to know how to work with AI, otherwise you're not relevant, right? What is the control, the technology, what are the options, of AI, how to work with it, as an engineer, as a product, as a user. I think it's something that every product manager needs to do, and needs to do fast, because it's already here. And if you don't master it, so you're behind. It's not, up until recently, it was a very specific specialization, right?
Hmm.
Of product managers. I'm a product manager, with an AI background, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, 1 to 20. But
Yeah.
no, everybody needs to do that. And in Monday we have, when we started implementing AI. It's still the beginning, but we are starting. So we started with a small, like, plan of like ambassadors of specific teams, specific people who lead it and add features. But the idea behind it was that everybody would do it. It's not that this team that's doing AI, everybody should do it, but we need to start with a few, to have to create success, to see how it looks like, to mentor them very closely. But then it will have to be a commodity. It will have to be common knowledge.
Yeah. By the way, I've been to Monday at least a few times, and I know several people. One of my previous guests was Yoni from Monday. He was responsible for the AI team, if I remember correctly.
Yoni
And
Levin,
yeah,
uh,
he was here. So when you talked about it, it's reminded me
yeah,
about of him.
yeah, from the R&D perspective, yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
What are some of the challenges and opportunities you see for product managers in the future?
So I think it's a lot about what we've discussed, because the profession is evolving, in both dimensions. Also, as how you work, as we said, right? Like, you spend less time on this mundane task, but you have to, um, make sure that, um, as a human, you won't be you won't be replaceable. Like, you need to invest more time in strategic thinking. I think in user interviews, spend more time, creating a strategy, a plan, a vision, um, and less time about the other stuff. And you'll have to master it, because otherwise you'll be replaceable. Um, so that's one aspect. And the other aspect, that you will also have to stay ahead of your curve in the products you develop, in the products you build. You can't, also in very traditional industries, you will have to, leapfrog. If you are going to insurance, if you are going, I don't
Sure.
know, you'll have to
Banking,
leap
finance.
banking. Yeah, you'll have to leapfrog the competition. You won't be able to do the same. And I can say that in Monday we think about it a lot, because Monday is now a multi-product company, right? So I I just left, so I still talk in present mode. But I lead, or used to lead, the work management, like the main product of Monday.com. But we also have a CRM, and we have a tool for developers like Jira, and more. And then the teams that build these products, and also myself, we always ask ourselves, it's not what the competitors have and how we can do the same features and have like a feature, um, be like feature complete. We have the opportunity, because we build it now, and we didn't build it 5, 10, sometimes 20 years ago. We have the opportunity to leapfrog. We have the opportunity to really understand what is, again, I'm going back to that, what is the problem we are trying to solve, and so on, and how do we solve it in a completely new way, completely new. And it takes a lot. It takes a lot of creativity, and very deep thinking. You can't like copycat your competitors anymore. You won't win like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's exciting also.
Yeah. It's more interesting to do several things and to think
Yeah,
about things differently than just, understanding exactly what would be the like a few percentage more than the what you currently have and the competitors have, and it's much harder to differentiate yourself or to sell your product if it's not much better than something that people already use right now. So
Yeah.
you have to know that. How can product managers effectively build relationships and with stakeholders and collaborate across different teams?
So I like to think about stakeholders as users, right? Because you, as you know, as a product person who leads a team, or as a product leader who leads several teams or organization, or you, you sell something, and what you sell is the features you're building, and you want to make sure that the stakeholders, like the users, they buy it. And for that, you need to understand, what do they care about, what are they measured on. Okay, so I gave before the example of the CEO. So if you want to, um, maybe I'll go one step back. I think it's very important, super important, to invest a lot of time and a lot of work to sell your ideas. Okay, so before you do something, not just say, I'm working on this and this feature, it's really cool, but like really invest energy in explaining, in like a, I like to do like decks, like presentations of why is this impactful, why it's meaningful, why it will move the, I don't know, the company forward. Okay, so I sometimes as a product manager, I had decks of like, I don't know, 100 slides that explains, or 50 slides that explains why it's meaningful, and I will show like data points and, snippets from interviews and competitors and data and stuff like that. So because when you have, when the upper management and when stakeholders, when they really get it, why it's important, and they share the same excitement as you do, it will be much easier for you, to work. It will be much easier to get resources, more developers. It will be much easier when things don't go as expected. When you have issues, they'll have much more patience. They won't say, okay, it's not working, let's shut it. But they understand, why are you doing what you're doing, where are you aiming. So that's one aspect. Okay, like really really invest a lot in pitching it, explaining why it will make an impact, why it will make a difference. And the second part is create a cadence around it. So it's not enough, like if you're working on something, it's not enough to really make everyone excited about the mission, about why you're doing stuff, but also to keep them always updated, and create a very, very regular beat and cadence around how you share progress. I think it's very important. For example, every 2 week, you send some sort of summary, what I did, what did I learn, and what will I do next. Like every 2 weeks, what I learned, what I from data, from user interview, where I'm standing, and what should I do next. And I think that creates lots of confidence. Okay, so if we talked earlier on give people freedom, you can't give them unlimited freedom. um, but if you give it in these boundaries of, okay, you can reach the goals we discussed with however you like, but let's see every week or every 2 week or every month, I don't know, um, where you're progressing, and have also a place to give feedback. That's also important for leaders. I want to influence, I want to tell something, and when you don't give me the room to tell something, to tell my feedback, I get very frustrated and very hateful and resentful,
Yeah.
and you don't want that. Also, because
Yeah.
they can flip and say, okay, it's not working, it's shit, like close it. It's
Right.
also not good. So yeah, so I think these cadences is very 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 important to create confidence, and really to get feedback. Sometimes you really need to get feedback, it's very helpful. um and 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 the way to do it, I think you should tailor to every like a role. because and every company and every culture and whatever, it won't always be a meeting where you show a presentation of what you did. For example, if you want the CEO to be on board, they don't have time for that, right? So and if it's important for them to be on board, you can ask them, how do you, what is the best way to communicate progress with you? Okay, like for example, in Monday, the CEOs, they work with WhatsApp. That's how they work. They don't work with email. They don't get in the like nothing. And it's not the most ideal way to communicate progress about business and about features, but that's the best way because that's where they are. So you'll have to learn as a leader to communicate progress in WhatsApp. You'll have to
Yeah.
do it. And other leaders, they really like to be in the details and they really like to see the product. So I used to, even in very early stages of development, like only when you have something like a prototype, something that's hardly working, I would send them and see, look, it's really cool, check it out. And it will be reassuring for them because they will see that there is progress, and like put them in your world, to see the
Mhm.
same things that you see, but in a way that fits them, you know. And
Yeah.
it's the same for other teams. Sometimes to get to your goal as a team or as an organization, you have to collaborate. Like you don't work in a complete silo. You often don't work in a complete silo. You need other people on board sometimes. So, and then again, you need to understand what do they care about, what are their goals, the other team, what are their KPIs. And most likely that if you're not aligned with their KPIs, it will be very, very hard to get them on board. So you have to
Sure.
understand that from scratch and also update them as well.
Yeah.
And you have to work in it. It's not always so fun, but
Yeah, it's like
I think,
the next thing that came to my mind is like you're describing this collaborative organization that everybody's like thinking together, they're all aligned, this is the direction, you know where we are, where we're going. It's like, and everybody's aligned. But the next thing that came to my mind, as you said, is like sometimes people don't agree. They don't agree with the direction. They don't agree with the implementation of the direction. They don't agree with the specific goals you're going. So you could say, okay, I'm the director of a product. I'm the one who's deciding, but I feel that this is not the approach you would probably have. So how would you make this happen when people are sometimes more confrontational or less agreeing with what you're doing?
yeah. So I think like in a healthy organization, you have some, first of all, you have some sort of like strategy, right? Like, so if as a product director I have this direction, this initiative, it will have to be aligned with the general strategy. Like if I do something which is completely off, most chances, yeah, I won't get so much buy-in from stakeholders. So that's like very generally speaking. And if you're already in this path, and you create the places to give feedback, so the feedback can also be, no, it's not a good direction, and then I can say, I think it is because this and this and that. But we will have to decide, and we will have to make a decision. And the decision can be, scratch it, it's not a good direction, and this decision can be where we're changing it a little bit, or we're doing it as it is because they're convinced. But you need to create this while you're working with the main flow of the strategy. You need to create these places of control, to make sure you're on the right on the right path, because otherwise,
It will
you
not work.
yeah, that's the way to get aligned. Actually, it's not
Yeah.
this general alignment that happens. The alignment happens when you constantly, talk about your goals, talk about your initiative, talk about what matters. And yeah, I think that as an organization, you have to create, um, yeah, a clear strategy to communicate it, clear product principles. Generally speaking, to make sure that different teams don't clash too much, right?
Yeah.
Um, so there
Yeah.
is the organizational thing, and there is what you can do as, PM, product team lead, director, and so on. So
So you mentioned that like negotiation is another skill that you might need sometimes. It's not enough to be clear and to be empathic and to understand your users and stakeholders. Sometimes I guess that you need to know how to negotiate and not be too strict about what you believe.
yeah, definitely. Also inside the team, a lot of times, um, product manager thinks X and the developer thinks Y and the designer, and everybody has their own opinion, and they have strong opinions, and they're very passionate, and you can see, you know it, right? The
Sure.
um but as a product manager, you also need to be a little bit of, a coach, and to understand, okay, that's your perspective. Why are you saying it? What's important for you? And, find the common, and often you can find resolution. um, and I think a very effective way to do it is to go back to the initial assumptions, right? Like the initial, why are we doing, like, very why are we doing what we're doing? What is the goal we set to ourselves? What is the problem we're trying to solve? Okay, we agreed on that, right? We agreed on the goal, we agreed on the user persona, we agreed on the problem. So is it aligned? Is it solving the actual problem? um, we said that we're going to launch in a month and a half from now. If we'll do that, what are the trade-off? So yeah, I think these types of, being the negotiation skill, problem solving skills, conflict resolving skills, um, is very, very meaningful.
Yeah.
Um,
What excites you most about the future of technology?
um, I think that there are so many, big problems in the world today, right? Um, and I really hope that, we would see more of, like, doing good by doing well, and technology for good, for actually putting the best minds and the best technology and all the energy in solving, like, major real world problem, like, climate, and hunger and stuff like that. I really believe we have power, as people in the tech who knows how to do stuff, how to make things happen at large scale. I think, for me, I really, really want to be in a future where we put a lot of this energy, into these type of things. Um, I came back earlier, from a meeting with the CEO of Active Fence, and this amazing startup who make the internet safer from, pedophilia and terror and misinformation, and extremely successful, extremely cool startup, really talented people, and there isn't a contradiction there between, like, doing good, doing well. Yeah, I would love to see more of these, I
I
guess.
see. Okay, so we're almost done. I have two more questions. What is your number one tip for entrepreneurs today?
Mm, I think it would be around, the people you're working with. Um, I think that, especially in small startup, it's super, super important, like, not to compromise, and to bring, like, A types, A players, because you can change the product, you can change the market, you can do a lot of things when unexpected things happen. When I worked my years in Monday, we had coronavirus, we had a war, lots of political problems in Israel, lots of things, very challenging. And the reason we came stronger from all of these um, was, I think, yeah, the culture and the people. And I think that's the most important thing for me.
Mm, I see. And where could people meet you or hear more about what your work is? Like on LinkedIn would be a good place.
Yeah, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram.
Wow. Thank you, Shirley. It's been a pleasure talking to you. It's been very insightful and I learned a lot. So
Sure.
thanks.
It was great talking to you too.
Sure. And to all of you change makers out there, thank you for joining us. I invite you to sign up for my new online leaders program, Unlocking the Power of Generative AI, designed to equip leaders with the skills to build successful generative AI products. And I'll
Cool.
see you next week. See ya. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Thank you.